You're listening to SM Media, the home of exclusive West of Scotland Football League content. Hello, folks, and welcome to the latest episode of the SM Media West of Scotland Football Show. I'm Scott McPike. It's an absolute pleasure to be your host as always. We have a new season. We have a lot of new teams to talk about. A lot of good starts after 3 games, and it's a pleasure to welcome one of the managers who's had a really fast start. It's a pleasure to welcome the manager of Shortswood Accord, John McKeown. John, welcome at the show, mate. It's a pleasure as always.
Hi, thanks for having us, Scott. Good timing on my behalf and coming on the show when it's been a decent start. So
Yeah, it's always as I said at start. I said last season when a lot of managers were coming on. It's always good to come on either after a win, but to win your first 3 games in what looked a very competitive league, and it always will be. Can't say any more about the start. To be honest, you've had we'll go through it kind of in a bit more detail, but just 3 wins out of 3, six goals scored. Brilliant start. Can't say it enough.
aye, listen, it's been a full rebuild this pre-season, so we're kind of not sure what we're going to get. So I think it's 11 or maybe 12 new faces now. There's bringing back Adam Hunter last week, so 12 new faces and kept some of the experienced core that were there. So I mean, you're obviously as a manager, you're always a wee bit apprehensive with doing such a big overturn, but it kind of had to be done. To be honest with you, it was just one of the things. There was guys moving on who were on loan and a couple retiring, and it needed freshened up. But so far, it's been good.
Yeah, it's been obviously been good as well. It's been tight games. I mean, they really have. I mean, it's away to winning 3-2 away to Ashfield, 2-1 at home to Kilburn, then obviously on Saturday 1-0 win over Neilston. It's been tight games, but it shows a lot of character obviously as well. And it's as I keep saying, getting a run in this league is so difficult, and it doesn't matter how you get the wins, but to have 3 wins on the board, 3 good teams as well, it's some start.
I listen, as you say there, I think we've shown a wee bit of resilience, which is good. Particularly on Saturday with a host of players missing, I think there were 8 or 9 missing, and to be fair to Nielsen, had the right goal at us, and we hung on towards the end and seen the game out quite professionally. So that was good to know that this team can do that as well. Last season we had to do it quite a lot as well towards the end of the season, some big pressure games. But listen, it's just a good start. It's a good week. I keep saying that. Just, we're getting carried away. At the end of the day, we've started well. That's all it is, and just need to keep focusing on what comes ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll obviously get into this Saturday's game when we talk about the first division, but we'll make a wee start. Obviously, we'll just go through the 5 divisions, just talk about what's been happening. We'll obviously kind of look at the first 3 games in detail. We'll not go through each game, obviously, because that'll take a while. But Premier Division, Champions B, they've started really well. 3 wins out of 3, 9 goals scored, 1 conceded. Kieran Diver has scored 4 goals for his first 3 games. Carlo Monte, 3 goals. They've had some really good results as well. Tight 1-0 win against Rob Roy in the opening day. They went to Benburb midweek and won 4-1, and then a 4-0 win over Urban Meadow on Saturday. B, they've just continued that brilliant run they had last season.
Aye, that's it, and it's probably answered questions. I mean, some people go, "Oh, maybe next year there'll be teams with bigger budgets and stuff will go and knock them off their pedestal, so to speak." But no, fair play to Straining that they've done great again. And the boy Diver you were talking about theirs came for Renfrew, and people were questioning whether he could score in the top league, and he's made a good start at it. And Callum Monty just doing what he does normally. You know, he's a fantastic player. We played him a couple of times last season in the cup, and I thought he was magnificent. He's fantastic. He's a player that most managers would want in their team. So I am not no surprise there that it started so well.
And how important is it, like when you've got a side who obviously exceeded expectations last season? They've obviously lost Josh Fowler, but bringing in Kieran Diver, Aaron Mason's come in. Obviously, I think he scored as well during the week. 2 really good signings up front, but they've managed to keep that really good core. I'm thinking of the likes of Daniel O'Neill, Paul Fries, Carlo Monte. They've kept everybody in place as well. And how important is that when you have that kind of tight unit? And Straney spoke about it a lot. Kind of when I was speaking to him at the start of the season, keeping those players are just as important as who you bring in.
Well, that's it, exactly. Anybody set the standards. They were there last year, so anybody comes in the door knows that they'll be accepted if they drop below those standards. I mean, the boy Fries you talk about, I think he's a fantastic player and a real leader on the park. And I'm pretty sure he's a captain, and he just drags them through some games, But no, they've started really, really well, and we played them last season. We were fortunate enough to beat them in the cups, to be fair, but I had to get that in there. But no, they were, they were an excellent side, and I thought the football was really attractive the way they played as well. They don't just lump it, Good side. And I think that they'll be hard to stop.
We'll talk about the other two unbeaten teams so far. Hurlford have had a good start. They won their first two games, and then obviously drew 0-0 with Darvel mid weekend. They beat St Catholics 3-1 on opening day, then beat Gartcairn 1-0. Obviously, you would have seen St Catholics and Gartcairn in the flesh last season. Bit of a difference in Catholics team in fairness, but Gartcairn obviously have been pretty good, kind of coming up as well. Go to Darvel, all reports were that it was kind of a very even game. Behind both sides had chances to win it. So, but I think Hurlford, I said in the previous show, I think Hurlford could be a team who could really go under the radar this year.
Listen, Hendo's always got good sides, he always builds well. If he loses a few, he goes and adds quality, and he's got so many contacts in the game, Hendo's an old teammate of mine. Him and John Dempster do a brilliant job down there, I think Hendo knows everybody. He's one of the managers you speak to, he knows every player, and he's always on it. So he looks as if he's built a right strong side. They've definitely started well.
Pollock are the other unbeaten team as well. Obviously, I watched Pollock against Cumnock. They had a difficult. It was a one of those games they probably had a chance to win it. I thought Pollock were the better side a lot of the time, but I kind of felt a draw was the right result. They were 3-1 up against Rob Roy on Saturday. Drew 3 each. Obviously, it was a big occasion for everyone at both clubs, but 3 games in, I don't think Maxie will be too disappointed with that. I know the red card against Cumnock was a joke, and I said that at the time, and I think a lot of people would agree with that. But although he's unbeaten, he'll look at the goals against and say that's 5 goals we've conceded in 2 games. That's if you're wanting to mount a title challenge, he will want to get that sorted quickly.
Listen, Max's another one though that's had a massive overhaul of his squad, so it is going to take a wee bit of time to settle, I think it looks as if he's signed really, really well, and Max is a very clever manager, so I've no doubt he'll get things settled in there defensively, as you're talking about, sooner rather than later, because he's got real quality in his squad. But I think they'll be right up there challenging, definitely.
Yeah, I look at Arthurley as well. Brilliant start they've had as well. They won their opening game 4-3 against Cumnock. Lost 3-2 to Rob Roy away from home, their only away game so far, and then had a tight 2-1 win over Benburn. But you look at Dylan Dykes, 4 goals from 3 games. He could be very important this year. I think it's a really good signing bringing him in.
Aye, fantastic signing, really, really good player. I know they've still got a big pal, Scott Anson, to come back as well to add to their firepower, but no, another really tough place to go, Arthurley. I've never enjoyed it, Arthurley, anywhere. Every time I went there with teams over the years, it's been a right struggle, a wee tight pitch in there, but no, they've definitely again started well, and it's going to be interesting to see how they progress.
Yeah, absolutely. Troon, 2 wins in their first 2 games, a 2-1 win over Irvine Meadow on opening day, and 1-3-1 away to Glenafton last midweek, but a disappointing result, a 5-1 defeat to Largs. I think with Troon, I was really impressed with obviously Shankers. I thought Kyle Gilroy was really good against Glenafton as well, but it's a difficult one to really have positives for when you get beat 5-1 at home.
Again, you should see the other side, Shankers and some experienced players. They'll be decent. But Largs, Largs are just capable of doing that to teams, aren't they? They can go and give out some real doings at times. Arnie's got such a good side there, and he's been doing it consistently over the years. He's done fantastic. Probably one of the ones we're talking off here there, just about budgets and stuff. Arnie's probably one that's punching way above his weight. Doing fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously they're in 4 points for 3 games as well. Clydebank, they had a difficult start. Obviously, the 3-2 defeat at home to Benburn on opening day. They scored a last-minute goal to salvage a point against Irvine Meadow in the second day, but a really good response on Saturday. They won 4-1 at home at Glenafton. I'm pretty sure they were behind against Glenafton as well. So to come back for that, I think Thomas Collins obviously scored a double as well. He could be a big player for them, but they've got a lot of attacking talent. I do think that was the same. It's been the same the past couple of years. Clydebank have had a difficult start, but they find a way and they find a rhythm. Mm-hmm. And once they find a rhythm, they're very hard to stop.
Often the guys in there do a great job, and they've got a fantastic squad. I was actually looking at them before the season. I think fancy that squad to go and do really, really well. Probably one of my outsider tips, so to speak. One of the Banky fans, Neil McAllister, I would give him a mention. He watches your show, so he was in there the other day. He was saying that the last couple of games have really looked as if they've turned the corner a wee bit. So he's been quite happy with the progress they've made. So we're just chatting about it earlier today. So I think they'll do well with the Bankies, as you said, loads and loads of attacking talent, loads of options for them off.
Yeah, I do think there will be a good side. Looking at their kind of fixtures that's coming up as well, they've got a couple of difficult ones. So if they can navigate them quite well, they could be in a really good position. Darvel, obviously, a big summer for them. Obviously, a big change in management. A lot of new players coming in. It's not been easy. They obviously lost opening day to Glenafton. They did really good. All reports, I spoke to a couple of people at the game. They played really well against Largs Thistle. They've obviously had a big signing in Jordan Moore, which we'll get into in a wee minute. 0-0 draw at home to Hurlford, though. I think there will be disappointment there that they've not picked up more points so far. Obviously, been up. I think they scored after 30 seconds in the opening day. I think Leon Murphy scored against his old club in the opening day, so they'll be gutted not to win that. But it's obviously still early days, and it's going to take a bit of time for that team to rebuild, and it might not be done yet in terms of who they bring in.
Aye, listen, it's another one. It's a wee bit like we're talking about there with Pollock and stuff, and even ourselves as a massive overhaul of players there for Tony. But listen, he's been over the course of a million times, Tony McInally, and he always will build a right good competitive side. And I mean, it's a fantastic place to play football down there now. I mean, the facilities are fantastic. I've done last season, couldn't believe the difference in the place. And obviously, they've got a decent budget. They've signed really, really well too. So obviously, getting Big Leishman in the door, I mean, what a coup that was. And Wilson as well. So they've got the winners in their changing room, the boy McShane and that. So they'll definitely be challenging at the right end of the table, that's for sure.
Yeah, and they obviously, like, the kind of big talking point of the past couple of weeks has obviously been the signing of Jordan Moore, and the fee's been talked about and things like that. We're not going to get into just how big the fee is. It is a big fee for this level. There's no way of saying that. But when you're looking at that, like I'm of the opinion it's going to be very difficult for a player to live up to that fee at this level. It is, because for the fee that's been reported, he needs to score a lot of goals. He needs to take Darvel up. That is really the pressure he's under. I know it's maybe unfair on the player, but it's big at this league for a player to be going for that high a fee. It's massive money we're talking about now.
Aye, it's incredible that the figures you're hearing get quoted. That's nearly my season's budget, but no, it's listen. At the end of the day, if you've got it and you're going to go and spend it, and you're bringing in obviously Scottish Cup winner there for Cumnock, and he set the place on fire up there. He's adored by the punters up at Cumnock, so it's a big loss for Doyley and that. But I'm sure he'll just continue his form of last season and go and score loads of goals.
Yeah, and he's obviously got a lot of help in terms that he's got a lot of players behind him who are going to give him opportunities. He's going to get a lot of chances at Darvel. I think he is a really good addition to Darvel. Like I look at maybe the way Darvel playing. I think Jordan Moore fits that really well. I can see it working, but I think what is the level of success going to be? Is finishing second or third enough? Do you know what I mean? Is it going to justify? It's difficult, and I know it's maybe something that I know a lot of people want to talk about, but when you're looking at it from the outside, it's a lot of pressure.
It's one of the ones, isn't it? You're falling under the highs of last season with the Aberdeen result and stuff. Everybody's always going to look back to that, but Tony and these guys will just have their own focus, I'm pretty sure, and they'll just be keeping their eyes on the prize of the league and try to do as well as they can in there. And as I said, probably month by month you'll see them settling down a wee bit because they have brought in so many new bodies. But the boy Moore, as you're saying, I mean, really quick and can finish, and great movement. So I'm sure he'll be a good addition, especially with the talented players behind him.
Yeah, absolutely. We were the Auchinleck as well. Obviously, they had a difficult start, lost their first two games to Pollock and St Cadoc's. They had a good result against Gartcairn. I think with Tucker, obviously, we said in the preview, it's going to take time for that. It's a big rebuild. He's obviously underwent, but if there's a man to get maybe a side that you wouldn't see just looking at it on paper, you maybe don't see them this season as title challengers. But if there's a man to get them there, it's Tucker.
Listen, you'd never write off Tucker, would you? Let's be honest.
It's a common phrase on this show.
It's mental. Like I just can't believe sometimes you hear comments and people criticising the guy. I mean, he's just absolute kind of godfather at this level, isn't he? I mean, what he's won and what he's done, it's incredible. Nobody can argue with his record, and he always seems to get it right one way or another. And as you said, it might take a bit of time, but he'll just go from strength to strength. And I've no doubts at all. Tucker, McCluskey will turn it round up there.
Yeah, absolutely. Just obviously Cumnock in 4 points. They've scored 6 goals, conceded 6. Same with Rob Roy, 4 points for 3 games as well. Word on the promoted sides, I'm keen to get your thoughts on this. Obviously, St Cadoc's been a big rebuild. They obviously went to Auchinleck and won, but they've only picked up 3 points for 3 games. Now it's not a major loss, but when you're winning away to Auchinleck, you want to win at least one of your home games. And they've been difficult home games, obviously. Cumnock at home and Hurlford at home. They're 2 good sides, but I think it shows you though just how unpredictable this league's going to be, because if you looked at those 3 games, you would say Auchinleck away is probably the hardest of the 3, and they went and won.
Aye, listen, it's a cutthroat league, innit? It's a wee bit. I feel the division's the same. I just think on their day, anybody can beat anybody. You know, you can go in a 4 or 5 winning streak. You can also go in a 4 or 5 losing streak just as easy. You just need to be on it every single week. And but maybe the boys who St Cadoc's that have just all came for the Lowland League are just getting used to the pace and the tempo, because I think it's a good bit faster and more physical than what the Lowland League is. You don't get as much time in the ball, so it's maybe just a wee kind of realism for them just settling into this level of football.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Intensity of it.
Absolutely, I agree with that. Ben Bob and Garth Cairn, how do you think they're going to handle the step up?
I think they'll do well. I do. It's, I'm sitting praising everybody here though, but there's just so many good teams.
It's that close a league though, it is.
Aye, that's exactly what it is. I mean, Lovers will have Ben Bob fighting, scratching for everything, and has them organised. And the firepower of Declan McDonald and stuff, they'll do great. They got a great result at the Bankies the other week there, and I watched the highlights and it looked fantastic. A real threat every time they went forward. And my mate Mick Dunlop's the manager of Gartcairn, and I know the talent he's got at his squad. They were fantastic last year in the league, deserved winners of it. Really, really good side. A couple of great players he's got in his team. His brother at centre back's one of the best defenders in the league. He's fantastic. So, good firepower again. So, they'll do well. I think they'll definitely compete well.
Yeah, Glenafton in 14th. They started obviously with a win over Darvel. They've lost the last 2. They 3-1 away, 3-1 at home at Troon and 4-1 away to Clydebank. Arvin Meadow been a difficult start. Obviously, a cruel way to get to deny the win. Obviously, Clydebank scoring last minute in the second game, but 2 sides that will be wanting to get up the league as fast as possible. They've got a difficult couple of games coming up, both sides, so they'll be looking for they'll be looking for quick results.
Aye, that's it. Listen, you get a wee bit edgy, don't you? If you don't win your first couple, or you start to find yourself moving in that table. I know it's still such early days, but as we keep touching on, it's just such of the competitiveness of these leagues that you're looking at all the time, looking over your shoulder. I think, right, and you keep getting wins on board. So both teams will be eager to kickstart it come this weekend.
Yep, absolutely. Let's move into the first division, obviously, and sitting at the top of the league is Shorts, 3 wins for 3. What impresses me about the run so far is obviously 6 goals so far, but 5 different goal scorers. It shows like one thing I think you need in this league. It's going to be really tight, but you need goals coming from all places, and so far so good.
Aye, listen, as I say, I think they signed 11, 12 new players at the start of the season, so we were a wee bit unsure, as you are when you sign that many. A wee bit unsure of what we're going to get. A lot of young kids because we don't have a big budget at all. But what we found is there's a lot of legs and enthusiasm in there, and willingness to learn. And it's no disrespect to the squad and stuff we had last season, but even for a manager, I found a kind of new leagues of life as well. So as a coaching staff, you get in and you're still learning loads about these players, and it's an interesting time for us, and so far it's so good. But listen, it's a week into the season, they'll be getting carried away, for a fact that we can't do that. Last season was a prime example for us. We had a poor start, then we went on a great run up until the Christmas period, and at one point we're sitting second in the table, and then we lost. A couple of months later, we're sitting bottom of the table, and we had to really bite and scratch to get out of it. So nobody will not take an eye off the ball. It'll just be a game at a time, and everybody will be kept level-headed and stay humble just now, and just focus game to game. That's as simple as that. The guys that are there, the experienced ones that have kept, like Captain Ali Martin, Big Paul McKeown, Chris Meikle, Andy Muir, these guys, they'll never let them get carried away anyway, because they know how tough a spell we had last season. But listening now, we're just kind of trying to let the kids go and play and express themselves, and so far it's been decent to see. And you said the goals are coming for all over the park, and some of them playing the final third has been really, really impressive.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, big game on Saturday. You will travel to Johnson Borough. Obviously, they started with 2 wins. I watched them on Saturday. the first thing you look at, I know the two big names, obviously Graham Dorrans and Kyle Lafferty have taken a lot of the headlines, but I look at Dale Esplin and the team, I look at the McCann brothers, they've got Kieran Brophy, they've got Ross McKenzie, they've got Craig Menzies at the back, they're stacked with talent, and it shows you though just that how tough this thing's going to be, because they obviously took a really early lead on Saturday. I thought Whitlets were really, really good getting back into the game, and obviously Johnson scored a late equaliser to keep the unbeaten run going, but you look at the talent on display, and you think that team could sweep apart anybody, but it doesn't work that way.
Aye, listen, as you say, it's not as easy as that. You've got to be on it every single week. There's Popey's team at the weekend put on a really good show and made it hard for Johnson Borough. But just to go back to the Borough, obviously that's a replay this week. I mean, they've got talent throughout the squad, and I've been lucky enough to work with wee Dale Esplin before, and Dale Simeon and guys like that, and I know the talent that they possess. So that, I mean, excellent players all throughout their squad, and listen, it's no secret that the money they're spending in the budget, but at the end of the day, it's probably just a wee bit of jealousy for everybody else. I wish I had it. And I said that to Jamie. I like Jamie McKeown. I spoke to him. He's a very knowledgeable guy about football, and Jamie's put in the hard graft at the other end where he's not a penny to spend. And if you ever go to a game, Jamie McKeown's always there. So I think, well, he deserves a crack at it. You know, he's done the donkey work when he's had to go out and sign young kids and bring them through. Now he's got a wee bit of money. Well, good on him. You know, give him a chance to go and see what he can do at the other end of the market. So far he's attracted some real quality players, which have really raised the profile, their level in their league. So I'm really looking forward to taking that against them. I'm actually gutted to laugh at his injured. I just wanted to kind of their boys to experience playing against a guy with that sort of name, you know. I know Dorrans and stuff over there, but I think most players in the league will want to come up against Johnson Borough, but that is the thing. I heard Jamie saying in his interview, they've got a target in their back because teams and players go, I fancy it this weekend. We've got Johnson Borough, they've signed him. Players want to go and do well. So it's an intriguing game for us this weekend.
Yeah, it absolutely is. A very good start so far for Maybole. Obviously, they're unbeaten as well. They drew their first game 2-2 with Rutherglen. Big win away to Kilwinning midweek, and then they beat Thornwood 3-2 at home. Similar kind of thing to Tucker in this, like Carlo's been at Maybole a long time, and he always has them well organised, and I don't think it certainly doesn't surprise me that they've started this well.
Listen, you're right, Carlo always does well, and what a hard place to go. I was actually farmed out there as a kid when I was at Ayr United, and Carlo was playing at the time.
Why?
Carlo's coming to end his career, and I was just starting him, by the way. But no, he's been there for years. He knows the club inside out, and it's just one of the places you're going down there. You know you're in for a tough afternoon. You never ever get it easy down there. They've got a good experienced squad. Guys like Alex Semple stuff running about, Ryan Nisbet, good players, you know. So. What a start they've made, they've been excellent.
Yeah, absolutely. 3 teams and 6 points. Ashfield, the top goal scorers in the league. Obviously, one of the sides that you've beaten your run so far. Peters Hill, Ashfield beat them 4-1 at the weekend, which shows you how tight this league's going to be. Blantyre had a good start as well. Those are 3 teams that will be quite happy with their season so far. Obviously, 1 and 2 games out of 3. It's been fairly solid from them.
Peters Hill looked really impressive. I've only seen their highlights and stuff, but loads of people were raving about them, and I was really impressed with Ashfield when we played them. Some of their football was fantastic, you know, and we had to really be on it and work our socks off to get the result against them. They've done great, and some talented players. The style of football is really impressive. So the guys have done a wonderful job bringing them up and doing so well so far. And again, Gibby's one of the ones that's been about for years and just always produces. He's always got good players, a conveyor belt of young boys coming through, and he takes loads for his 21s and his 20s, etc. He just does great progressing lads and moving them on to higher levels and rebuilding again. So, fair play to Gibby and his coaching staff. I actually just watched their highlights before we came on here there against Kilburnie, and again, they were impressive. Good side.
Yeah, absolutely. Cambuslang and Rutherglen there, they've had unbeaten starts as well. From Cambuslang, Rutherglen on 5 points, from Chapel in 4. St Roch's, Renfrew in 3 points, Whitlets in 2 points. I would say Whitlets have had a solid start, especially coming from behind twice to pick up points. Into the kind of 2 sides I kind of want to touch on. Thornwood and Neilston are in 1 point. Kilwinning have had a difficult start, and already you're kind of hearing whispers of things maybe not all been well at Kilwinning. It's a big club, probably shouldn't be in the position they're in. They're going to have to get results quickly because there's a lot of fans last season were expecting them to challenge for the league. So to now be sitting in 13th in the first division after 3 games, it's already difficult for Chrissy to turn it around.
Aye, listen, but again, it is only really a weekend, isn't it? Let's be honest.
Yeah.
It's the name and it's the fan base. When we took over, myself and Mark Devon were talking about it just last week there, we took over Cumnock and they were coming down for the Premier League and we had to start well in the Super First at the time, and I think we'd won one out of our first 3 games and we were really in a sugary peg because it's just the expectation the way it is. And I think we scored a last minute winner at Ardrossan, and for there we want to win 9 games in a row. It took us up to the top of the league by Christmas, and it was just as well we got that last minute winner because it really, the pressure builds and you do feel it when you're at one of the big clubs. But listen, there's plenty of time to turn it around, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Bill reports are looking at players and things like that. It's going to be, they're going to be looking at obviously getting wins in the board quickly. Kilburn will be the same. Obviously, it's been a big rebuild there. Spenny and Woolley have went in there. It's going to be tough for them, but obviously 3 wins for 3. It's no easy reading, but they'll fancy their chances the next few games.
Aye, listen, as you said again, it's just another team that's got to go and rebuild. And we played them the first game of the season. It wasn't the prettiest of games. I felt we probably deserved their win, but it was no pushover, put it that way. And they've still got players to come back. I know the big Duffy and stuff come back. These off, and Scullion had missed that game. He was on holiday, so they'll get stronger as it goes on.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll move into the second division. Been really good starts for Ardrossan and Cumbernauld. Again, 2 sides that I've got a lot of attacking talent. Let's start with Ardrossan. 14 goals they've scored in the first 3 games. Only conceded 2. Aidan Ferris with 5 and a 10-0 victory on Saturday against Glasgow Perthshire. It just shows you that we spoke about them a lot last season. Aidan Ferris, Mark Curra, Ryan Wilson. They've got a lot of attacking talent, and to 1-10-0 is not to be sneezed at in any league.
I didn't expect that, to be honest, because Perthshire always make it hard for you and they're always stuffy. And
Perthshire were brilliant last season.
That's an amazing result. Really, really fantastic result, And I seen it. Was it Ferris scored 5? Was it?
Yes.
5 he got.
Yeah.
I mean, he played them last year in the West of Scotland Cup, and he was a real handful as well. So they've got real attacking talent. They've got some experienced guys in there as well. Big guys on that will do well and keep them all grounded. So they'll be up there competing for that title. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Cumbernauld, 3 wins for 3 games so far. Lee Whitmore started really well. 4 goals he scored from 3 games. I was one that certainly fancied Cumbernauld at the start of the season, and they've certainly shown that they're good at they could be good in this league this year.
Aye, listen, Nizzy's a really, really good manager, and he's signed shrewdly again. He's got the boy Declan Brown that's come in, who was at Thornywood, really, really good player, and he's got, as you say, Whitmore and stuff, real pace about him. They've got a decent squad. They'll do well. I'm not surprised to see they've started off so well.
Yep, absolutely. Let's Bonnin, unbeaten start as well. There was some really good results. A 1-1 draw in the opening day against Gilside, 4-3 at home to Craigmark, and then a 5-2 win away to Wishaw. Bonnin, it's been a tough couple of years, but now you're looking at them. Last season, I thought they did really well. To be fair, just to be even and within closer survival, I thought was a real achievement. So this could be the season where it goes in an upward trajectory.
I think they just run out of games last season. I think Ross Wilson's done a great job there,
Yeah,
and
I would agree.
Ross is another one. He's a really smart guy and tactically really astute, and he's always out at games. He's busy, he knows people. He really works hard. And I was speaking to him just today, and he was telling us about he's got a really, really young squad there, but he's definitely building well, and they play good football. So I think they'll be, as you say, maybe a wee dark horse there of going up. They've not got as big a budget as some of the teams in that league, but they'll do well.
If there's one result that I think shows you, one kind of sequence of results shows you just this is again could be another competitive league. Vale of Clyde won their opening game 6-2 against Muirkirk, then lost 4-2 at home to Glasgow Perthshire. Glasgow Perthshire have been beaten 10-0 by Ardrossan. Vale of Clyde beat Ardrossan last year to win the league. It just shows you, doesn't it?
It's one of them. They've got it right since we've moved into the West of Scotland leagues, and the conferences and stuff. The first season was a bit of a shambles. It had to be done to kind of even it out, and it's worked out really well because most of the leagues are really, really competitive now. There's not much between teams, so it's really interesting to watch every week. It's really, really hard to pick who's going to go and win their games.
Yeah,
as I said earlier on, you put a wee run together, you can sail right up these leagues.
You certainly can. It was the same last season, obviously. There was a lot of teams who had difficult starts but ended up in the promotion hunt. It shows you just all it takes is 3 wins in a row and you could be in a really good position. So it's going to be very interesting. Good starts for Caledonian Locomotives and Maryhill. They've had 6 points from 3 games so far. 4th, Forsyth 4. St Anthony's, Glasgow Uni, Yoker, Muirkirk, Perthshire, all with 3 points. The difficult starts for Craig Mark, obviously 1 point for 3 games, and Larkhall and Wishaw with 3 losses from 3 games. Anything catch your eye out those kind of leagues, like so far, the kind of position so far?
Well, I think Craig Mark have been really uninjured, unfortunate with injuries and personnel missing. I think Caddy's done a great job there as well. It's been so kind of hard to attract players down there. I think it's a bit of a false position for them. If I'm being honest, I think they'll soon climb up those leagues. The Wishaw one, I mean, it's a small club, and Dunny's a great coach, and he's just a shoestring budget there, but he's got a good support network. Guys like Alec Young and that who've been about the game for years, they'll stand by him and put a wee bit of faith in him, and he'll do well. I obviously signed a couple of players who'll not be best pleased with me, but he always produces good players, and they came stronger towards the end of last season. I think Wishaw will again another one that will move up through that division.
Yeah, absolutely. Some really interesting positions so far. 3rd division, there's some really interesting kind of results here. No team yet. Obviously, only Bells Hill have a 100% record. They've only played 2 games. Dalry sit top of that in 7 points. Glasgow United in 6, along with Bells Hill. Dalry, I fancied Dalry at the start of the season. I thought they made some good signings like Chris Love, Jamie Gray. I think they've made a couple of good signings. A good start. Bells Hill, I think, could be I was speaking to somebody who works at Bells Hill social media, and he was telling me they could be really good this year. And I think the 2 coaches have done really well, but I think this season they could just go up and up.
I speak to Dean Muir on occasion as well, and they've done well. Maybe under the radar a wee bit with some of their signings, but they seem to be building something there, even on and off the park. I think it's a club going in the right direction, Bells Hill. I think they had a couple of tough years there, and there's a wee bit of unrest in the background, but they seem to be kind of kicking on again, particularly on the park.
Yeah, absolutely. Glasgow United have overcome a really poor start. They lost 5-0 on opening day away to Irvine Victoria. They then beat Lanark second game, and a big result against Port Glasgow 1-2-1. So Glasgow United again, they obviously had a really tough year last year. They've had a really tough summer. They've started well, especially when you lose your first game the way they did. To have 2 wins for the next 2 games, it shows a good recovery.
And they've got obviously a good Willies in their squad, hasn't he, as well?
Yeah,
so
I mean,
I'm pretty sure he'll go and bang in some goals.
I haven't actually heard if he's playing or not. Like, I'm not. I know he played a friendly. I'm not 100% sure if he was playing in the league.
Well, I've seen him releasing a statement saying they were going to stand by him. So
yeah,
it'll be interesting to see how he does there, and how well it goes throughout the season for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, it's a subject that's not going to get the best response. But again, when you look at it from a football perspective, if David Goodwill is playing for Glasgow United, probably 5 levels below where he could play. Do you know what I mean? Like he's
exactly
as a player.
To the side, exactly as a footballer, he's a fantastic footballer, and that's all I to talk about. So I think he'll do really well there.
Yeah, I do think Glasgow United will go on an upward trajectory this year. If it all depends on obviously what goes on behind the scenes. But from a football perspective, obviously started really well. You've got 8 teams, I believe, on 4 points. Port Glasgow, Girvan, Vale of Leven, Les Mahago, Irvine Vicks, West Park, Threave, and Kilsyth. Threave have played 2 games as of Les Mahago. Some good sides in there. You look at Irvine Vicks. West Park have started really well. I thought West Park would really struggle, but a big result they had on Saturday. We'll get into Kello in a wee minute, but big comeback for West Park, winning 5-0 at home on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, great result. And I've also heard quite a lot of good reports about Girvan this year as well. So they're signing loads of experienced guys. So that'll be another team that will fancy it, Again, another very difficult place to go to. Away at the way, and they'll be well organised. So that'll be a good side. They'll be decent. They'll be in amongst it towards the end.
Yep, another unbeaten team in the 3rd division. They're sitting in 12th place, but they're unbeaten. 3 draws for 3 games is Ardere Thistle. I think Sean's a terrific manager, and I think obviously it's been a bit of a difficult season last year, but he'll take a lot of positives for the fact they're still unbeaten, but he'll obviously want to get wins on the board.
Aye, that's it. We played them not last season, the season before, and their style of play was really good and brought a good support and stuff. Didn't have a noisy support, and it was good to see as well, because for years it was a club that really struggled, but they seem to be heading in the right direction as well. I think they'll do well.
Yeah, absolutely. Finar on 3 points, Lanark in 2 points. Difficult starts for Greenock and Kello. Greenock, obviously, it's been a new manager getting in. Obviously, I think I do think he'll be a really good manager. I think he's the perfect type of person to be in there. It's been a difficult start, 2 home defeats, and obviously lost away to Dalry. I think it'll only be a matter of time before he gets them winning.
Yeah, and I also think the same for Lanark, to be honest. I think they've got a good squad down there.
Yeah.
And done well last year. I think it's a bit of a false position they're in just now, but you just need to work hard and weather the storm and work through it and hopefully come out the other end. But they made some good signings. In fact, a couple of boys I was after signed there and I thought, well, they're going to be right good this year, but it's just been an unfortunate start. But Simon Niels and stuff will have them battling up the right end, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Kello with a difficult start, obviously, for 2 games. They've lost 12 goals. They lost 7-1 away to Port Glasgow and then lost on Saturday to West Park away from home. I don't know if this is true, but I've heard there's a lot of injuries and a lot of I don't think there's many players there at the moment. So I think Greg and Gary, they've been terrific since they've been into Kello. So once they get players in, I think they're another side who'll be. It's been a difficult start, but once they get players back, I think they'll be fine.
That's the thing, Scott. I mean, we start so early now. We start with the league. It's just there's guys who are teachers, their wives are teachers, you know, and they need to go on holiday when their kids are off school. So you've got to have a big squad, and if you don't have the luxury of having that, you can really struggle to start league campaigns now. I mean, as I said, we've got the biggest squad I've had at Shortswood with 9 missing on Saturday there. Had 2 trialists on the bench, and you're like, how's that even possible? But it's just the way it is just now. And you can't really have too much of a grumble because people need to get their family holidays and stuff in. It's kind of culture's changed a wee bit now with football guys. I mean, they're under pressure in all walks of life, so they need to go and get their holidays and stuff and put in their family time when they can.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll move into the 4th division. Good starts for St Peters and Glenvale. They've 3 wins out of 3. St Peters have scored 13 goals. Glenvale, I was talking to somebody, obviously Jamie's got the connection there. I was talking to a couple of people kind of involved with Glenvale on Saturday, and they said they could be really good this season.
St Peters is that Jamie McKeown's brother? Is that right?
Yes. I think it's his dad. It's the chairman. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm sure they're well connected there as well. I think Glenvale got a couple of Johnson's players on loan as well. So I mean, they've certainly started well. Certainly had a good start.
It's good if you can pull in the favours. You know, that's ideal. But again, it's one of the ones the conferences, the low down leagues. It's just so competitive as well. You see some strange results every week.
Yeah, I think St Peters as well. They certainly. I didn't know about St Peters at the start of the season because I know they'd lost a couple of players, but it certainly shows. I mean, to score 13 goals in the first 3 games and win 7-1 away from home, it's been some start for them as well. I think John's another guy who's done really well with what he has.
I did fantastic, and that's it. 3 scoring at this time of the season. It's an ideal start for them.
Yeah. I look at a lot of teams like Eglinton, obviously, had a good start. They won their first 2. They had a bit of a sore one on Saturday, obviously losing 5-1 at home to Glenvale, but they had 2 really good results in their first 2 games, obviously beating Carluke away from home 1-0 and then beating Rossvale 2-0 away. Eglinton, I've been hearing a lot of good things. I've been speaking to a lot of people connected there, and they've signed well. They've signed some good players.
I don't know much about them, to be honest. I'll be honest about that one, but it looks as if it's a decent start.
Absolutely. BSC and East Kilbride have had unbeaten starts as well. They shared the spoils in a 4-4 draw. The second BSC Glasgow 4-4 draw of the season. East Kilbride, I'm sure, were involved in another similar result. They 5 each and 4-4 in their first 3 games. It's unbelievable.
5 each when you means it, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We played East Kilbride in pre-season, and it was quite a heavy scoreline they beat them by. But some of their football, the early stages of the game was incredible. Aaron's got them coached and they play the right way. You know, they were passing through us in the first 20 minutes or so. I thought, what's going on here? This is a really impressive side, but maybe just their kind of experience took over in the game. But it's good to see them kind of sticking to their guns, and I think they'll have quite a lot of high-scoring games with the way Aaron plays.
Yeah, I certainly agree with that. Thorn, there's a managerial change at Thorn. Barry McLaughlin's gone. I don't know enough about what's happened to obviously say what's happened in either side. I know Barry quite well, and I've obviously he's been a big supporter of the show, so I'm wishing him all the best no matter what happens next. But losing your manager after 3 games, they looked as if they were in a good position. It's a pretty weird one.
Again, I don't know what's going on in the background there, but it's probably the first managerial casualty, so obviously something in the background there, but it's never nice to see somebody to leave their jobs.
No, and I like Barry, and I obviously like Thorn as well. They're a good club, a good manager, and I kind of hope they just both sides have a good partner of the ways, and they both move on to have a good future in the game. Rossvale, New Mains, Lugar are all in 4 points. I think Rossvale could be pretty good. I obviously know Josh quite well. I know George at Lugar, and New Mains I think could be another side that could do really well this year. I think they're 3 sides who you could take seriously this year.
Aye, well, we've played New Mains in pre-season as well. I was quite impressed. Their side, young side, and full of energy and full of legs. They actually signed a couple of your boys who are under 20s and stuff as well, Big Ryan Allen and that, so they'll do well there.
Yeah, absolutely. Third division, Carluke on 3 points, along with Giffnock and newcomers Knightswood. Easterhouse on 3 points as well. Campbelltown, Royal Albert on 1. Saltcoats were a difficult start, 0 points from 3 games. The fourth division, it's always, I think it's the hardest league in Scotland to predict at times, because you've got a lot of teams, obviously this season more than ever, because you've got teams coming down. You've seen with Saltcoats, obviously they've not had a good start. They've come down obviously last season. But you've got Glenvale, obviously, were pretty poor last year. BSC, there's a lot of sides. It's such a hard league to really work out, especially early on.
Aye, some of the score lines have been crazy. It's just,
Yeah.
I've been looking at it, goals galore, you know. But aye, they're very hard to predict.
Yeah, absolutely. We've obviously some big games coming up at the weekend. A full list. I think we've got a full midweek list as well. We'll go through some of Short's games here. Obviously, there's a few interesting ones I want to get your thoughts on. Obviously, big top of the table clash with Johnston on Saturday, away to Rutherglen at the weekend, and then big away games against Colwyn and then Thornywood, then Fraserburgh away in the cup.
That'll be a good bus journey, that one.
Yeah,
as long as we
probably
win.
need to leave now.
It's a long way to go for Shorts, that's for sure.
As that.
Listen, we'll just try, as I said, just take it a old cliche in it, game at a time, and it's nice to actually have a full week's training this week where most of our players are coming back now and they can work on some things. It's just been such stop-start with holidays and that, and but as I said, we can't complain about the start we've made. It's been good, but we know obviously this weekend's game's a right tough one.
Yeah, and does it kind of, well, obviously it's a big game, and would you say it's, I wouldn't, you obviously won't say it's a free hit, but it's when you've had that good a start and you're coming up against a lot of people's favourites for the league, how do you kind of feel about it? Do you go in with, like, at the start of the season, is it kind of mind change for this game than it did at the start of the season?
Maybe at the start of the season you'd have called it a free hit, but I think the way we've started now, we've kind of raised our standards a wee bit. The boys have set their own standards, and fair play to them for doing that. Because I said it was a wee bit of the land of the unknown for us, and we're looking at the team and going, young kids, how they're going to cope and how they're going to do. And as I said, it's been really refreshing to see. But I know for a fact they'll all be itching to go and put in a marker, so to speak, and show people that we can. It's no fluke, and that we can go and compete with the best teams in the league, and Johnson Borough will certainly be that one. So, we're looking forward to it.
Yeah, and we're wishing you all the best for that game, and obviously the rest of the season. It's been great to have you on, John, and well done in the start so far, and it's been a pleasure to have you. Thank you very much.
Thanks again, Scott. Brilliant to be on. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much to everyone who's tuned in. Please follow us on social media for more consistent West of Scotland coverage. And we'll be back next week with the latest episode of the West of Scotland Football Show. We'll see you soon. Cheers.